right, everybody, thanks for joining us at Rockland News once again. I'm your host, Tom Osa, and thanks for being with us. That's a lot better. All right, we got a very busy show happening today, and we'll put the applause back on. We have Nyack Village Mayor Joseph Rand on the wire. Thanks for joining us, Joe.
Great to be on. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So a lot of action that happened in Nyack yesterday. Just to create some context for it, and you can all read the story on rocklandnews.com. So in Nyack yesterday, local emergency responders were called to Memorial Park after what began as a school field trip turned into, well, kind of like Journey to the Center of the Earth sort of thing, but it was Journey to the Center of Nyack. Yeah, I can't tell a joke. But Mayor Joe, tell us what happened.
Yeah, so there was, I don't know if it was an official school trip. I don't know much about that end of it.
Yeah.
But what happened was there were about 70 or so schoolgirls from a private religious school in Ramapo that came down to Memorial Park. They were exploring the park, and then a group of them decided to explore the Nyack Creek.
Right.
Brook Creek. I'm not sure exactly how to describe it, but it's a brook that runs underneath a lot of the village.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it opens and ends at Memorial Park. There's a culvert, and then the water goes into the Hudson. And it's kind of like cool looking. And I guess the kids did what kids do, and they wanted to go exploring. So they walked into it, and they just kept going, which most people don't do. And which you're really not supposed to do.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do it. Yeah.
It's very dangerous, but I mean, to listen, I was a knucklehead at 13, and when you're 13, you do dumb things, and this was a dumb thing.
Yeah.
So they started walking, and as you walk, there are parts of it that are exposed to the sunlight. All right, and then you go underground again, then you come out in the sunlight again, then you go underground. And what happens is there's a long stretch of underground, and I think it was that stretch of underground that they ended up getting a little lost in and a little bit concerned.
Yeah.
And they came upon a grate with sunlight coming through it. So they started pushing up against that grate to see if they could get out. And the grate happened to be in the courtyard area of Hudson House, the restaurant on Main Street, Nyack. They had walked about a half mile.
I'm sorry. Not professional, but
I know.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, we laugh about. We all are laughing about it now because nobody got hurt.
Yeah,
and everything's okay. But so imagine this: Matt's working. He hears some noise, and kids' voices coming from the grate. He walks over, and there's like the grate is open, and there are schoolgirls coming out of the grate from underground into his courtyard, and he's looking down there, looking up at him. So that was his day. Think about how your day gets interrupted. So then what happened was the first responders showed up.
Right.
See, you're laughing, and you need to get me in trouble because people say that I'm
No. I would like to say for the record that Rockland's News is, sometimes our people over here at Rockland News jump into the parody of it. What you're doing is very serious. I get it.
We can listen. We can laugh about it again.
Yeah,
Nobody got hurt. It's a serious situation insofar as they didn't have a park permit and what kind of supervision was going on for these kids. But the aspect of it, of the kids doing a knuckleheaded thing and ending up coming out at Hudson House is obviously an interesting aspect to the story. So they got out now when, as they were coming out, there happened to be a police officer nearby. He called. The Orangetown Police responded. The Nyack Fire Department responded. The Nyack Community Ambulance Corps responded.
Yeah,
the
happy to
kids
respond.
have been calling. They also have been calling back home, and we ended up getting responses from emergency rescue and first responder groups coming from Ramapo. From I think it was Heverum, which is one of them, and then there was I think an ambulance corps from New Square.
Yeah, Hatzola, I believe.
Hatzola came down.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a big group of first responders there that immediately started helping the girls get out. There wasn't technically a rescue because the girls all got out in their own power and nobody was seriously injured.
That's the
but
positive,
they were there.
yeah.
And then the most important thing is I came on the scene. The most important thing that they were doing at that point was they were just doing a count, and they were making sure that all the girls had been accounted for. And so then they lined them all up and got them into the buses. And, some people said they saw a video of the girls laughing and stuff like that. I mean, the fact was at that point, I think they were all relieved to get out of there. And there's sort of the phew, I got,
Yeah,
we're
it's
okay.
nervous
And that's
laughter.
what was going
Hey,
on.
survived
Yeah,
another
that's what was
day.
going on.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing, should they have had a permit? Absolutely. We require permits for Memorial Park usage for anybody with more than 10 people coming. And if you have more than 40, you have to get village board actual approval for the event, not just
More
the
than
village
40.
administrator approval.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 10 or 40, but you need an approval. And the reason is that we want to give you the park rules. We want to make sure you have insurance in case somebody does something dumb, like go into the
The
Nyack Creek.
sewers of Nyack, as you mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so we want them to have a permit. They didn't have a permit. The fine for not having a permit is up to $500, but we don't even know if we've ever gotten a fine. We usually issue a warning. We tell them not to do it again. We've sometimes, I think, issued, maybe a citation, but it ends up getting, the judge listens and says, "Hey, listen, don't do this again."
Don't do it again.
It's not, it's not a murder case. It's really, we don't care about the fines. We just want people to do the right thing with the way they're using the park.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other issue that's come up since then has been how were these kids able to there was adult supervision. What was the adult supervision doing? And I would just say this. I have no idea. I don't know anything about that part of it.
Yep.
I'm not going to speak to that part of it. All I'll speak to is the mayor is the fact that they should have had a permit. They didn't. It's not a hanging offense not to have a permit, but we are going to reach out to the school and probably the school district or the other private schools in the area, as well as the school district, to let them know that if they're going to be doing that, because Nyack Memorial Park is a wonderful park and it's open, unlike a lot of parks, it's open to everybody. And it doesn't even be in Rockland, to be from Rockland to go use it. It's open to the world. It's a wonderful park. So people do like to use it, but it's not supposed to be a dumping ground for to drop off 100 kids. Like we've had problems in the past with like summer camps coming and driving up 5 buses, 250 kids unload into the park. And that's the way they do their outing. Like it's not supposed to be an outing for a private camp to, instead of having their own facilities, that they go use our facilities and use them at the expense of the people that, would otherwise like to use them, without having the disruption.
Yeah.
So that's the issue. They should have had a permit. We'll work with them on that. The supervision is not really my issue. That's a issue between the parents and the administrators and maybe the police and whoever else is involved in that. That's not a village issue.
And not your words, Mayor Joe, not your words, but I would say that, a lot of people online and, I'd say some people here at Rockland's News feel that that's pretty sad, that if there is chaperoning that was happening and that's the result, I mean, that's just a failure right there. So, and I get what you're saying.
I don't
it's
think
like, it's not your part to even comment on that.
Well, no, I mean, I can comment to this part. I can obviously comment that the adult supervision somehow fell down. Like it something went wrong. Like it clearly went wrong because this should not have happened. So, they say that the thing speaks for itself. They should have, the kids would not have done it if the supervision had been effective. Why it didn't catch, I don't know. Maybe who knows what happened.
Yeah.
And that's going to take, an investigation, which we're not going to conduct. We will keep on track of it. But we're just not, that's not our part of it. Our part of it, I don't like to speculate too much about things that I understand, facts on. And so I don't know what actually happened, but I do think that clearly there was something that has to be addressed in that supervision because the kids should not have been in that culvert. So
yeah, I have a question for you just about the process. It was interesting to me as and thankfully all 71 of the ladies that did this, they were accounted for and everybody is safe and okay. The most important part of the story, no matter what.
Absolutely the most important thing. And also the first responders did a great job and everybody's safe. And that's why we can talk about it and we can go into these secondary issues because nobody was hurt. And that's just we're grateful for that, obviously.
Triage is a pretty cool thing when there's no emergency. So afterwards, when the ladies were walking out of the facility and they were being transported, I heard in the background, and special thanks to Frank LeBuono, who put some video out there at the time of the ladies were just exiting the building. So, and that's available on Facebook. You can go to his profile. It's a public video. I also noticed that at least off camera, was there some sort of like a scanner or like a register just to make sure that the count was correct of the 71 ladies? Because I heard, I don't know if that had to do with just.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was there when he was videotaping. I didn't notice the scanner, but I do know that they were very careful with the count.
Yeah,
The
that's what I
police, think,
figured.
were running it at that point, and they were, they were double, triple, quadruple, quintuple checking
Right.
to make sure that every one of the girls was accounted for, and they were. And so, and I should say, I think at one point I commented online that there were 70 something. You said 71. I wasn't sure what the exact number was on top of my head.
Right.
But they were, whatever it was, 70 or so. I don't know that all 70 went into the stream, into the creek. I don't know that. It may have been some portion of them. A bunch of them might not have gone in, but I don't know. I don't think it matters, but it's just I want to be precise, a little more precise about it. A bunch of them did go in. A few dozen at least went in.
Right. That's what we started off with.
And they all went into the buses, and then they went. And then they went home, and they, now have this story they can tell for years and years about their little adventure in Nyack, which it's only a good story. Again, it's only a good story because nobody was hurt. So
I really and I think Caesar did a pretty good job with his article yesterday, and he put adventurer in there. It's like, all right, maybe it wasn't that adventurous, quote unquote, but I saw your follow-up.
Listen, that was my word. I said it was we had an adventure, and the part of it was the fact that I didn't want people to overreact to it. Nobody got hurt, so it's not the end of the world. And quite honestly, we were all 13 once, and we all did stupid stuff. Don't blame the kids.
Yeah.
We can look at the supervision, but don't blame the kids, and don't, what happened. We don't know exactly what happened, so we really shouldn't speculate as to. Other than we can say that obviously something went wrong with the supervision.
Yeah, and if I can relate a personal story that happened to me and my friends up in Stony Point, I think probably around 16 or 17 years old. It was sometime in the 1990s. It was like 4 or 5 of us, a bunch of idiots walking around trying to be cool. And there's a sewer line right in front of one of our friends' houses, at the back of a playground. So one day we're like, hey, let's go in there, right? And we ended up traveling around in there. Now, after a while, we were just like, this feels weird. Let's leave. And we did, right? But fun side story to this. While that was happening, and thankfully this is what didn't happen yesterday, a bunch of other teens from North Rockland High School, who will remain nameless, ended up stealing a car and accidentally driving it into the living room of one of our friends that was inside the sewer system. We were going to go to that house on that day and hang out in the living room. The car was in the living room when we got back. And Dan Peretta, he's one of my friends. I see him at New York Sports Club. His mom came home and she sees this and she kept on saying over and over again, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, over and over again. And so
but you're lucky, because your other option was to be there in the living room when this car came through.
Exactly.
Instead, you were exploring the car. Yeah, that's great.
Things that we can't control.
What a coincidence.
So, always for a better future, but thankfully nobody got hurt then and nobody got hurt yesterday during this incident. And we appreciate you reporting on it.
No problem. Happy to talk about it.
How's everything else going? I think the Nyack Village is looking pretty shipshape. You got a lot of events going on over there. How's things going?
We have a lot. We have Pride event this Sunday. We have a firefighter memorial on Sunday. Today we're kicking off we have what's called a Global Rhythms event, which is part of the World Cup.
That's right.
We have a series of viewing parties in downtown Nyack. We're in the farmers market. I'm walking right over there to kick some soccer balls or football balls or whatever they call them.
Yeah.
To do that for promotional purposes. And for people who have not been to Memorial Park recently, we just debuted a whole new shoreline pathway that's absolutely beautiful. If you've not been down, we get some good weather this weekend. Come on down, check it out, and check out Pride Day and everything else that's happening.
Awesome. Well, Mayor Joe, usually my favorite guest every week over on Rockland's News. We haven't gotten a chance to connect for the last few weeks while we're getting our new podcast board and all of our systems set up for the upcoming election season. Yippee. And hope everything goes well. And
I heard about that.
Thank you. So we'll see how it goes. Everybody, we'll catch up with you tomorrow for our next episode of Rockland News. And again, Nyack Village Mayor Joe Rand, thanks for joining us on our episode today.
Tom, thanks for having me. It was great to be on.
You got it.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye. All right, I got to run because I got to get to this thing now and kick some software. Bye-bye. Yeah, I can. I just have to get out there. I'll start some court. Hey, how are you? Have your hands on it? Yeah, what am I doing now? Very cool. What's going on? I'm not making a show. Okay. All right, so now you're going to start on powerful.